All
So,
Negative K, nothing further, just take care of me in the corner.
That's a direct order. Do it now.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We are roll call black, white, and blue for better relations. Today is Thursday, October the 9th, 2025. I'm here with a great group of guys today. I got D with us. I got Will with us. I have Ty with us, AC, Derek, Rich, Dave, and Mark Matthews with us. And we have a show prepared for you today. But before we get started, we want to have a moment of silence for law enforcement, police officers, and loved ones that have passed away. Um, we'll have that moment of silence. All right, we don't have everyone here today, so I'm gonna do the disclaimer. I'm gonna ask Rich to do the statement of purpose for us, so we'll keep it going. We are roll call black, white, and blue for better relations. Please note the comments and express concerns made by members of roll call black, white, and blue for better relations. Herein, roll call. The panel are the opinions of the individual and not offered or intended to be legal advice, recommendations, or suggestions for listeners and observers. This panel may display graphic videos and photographs that are integral to um, continue or spark conversation or discussion. These videos or photographs are not intended to offend any viewer or listener. A panel member will give notice to the audience as to its nature prior to displaying any graphic or sensitive video or photograph. Any graphic content displayed during the panel discussion has been obtained and shared from public media platforms and is not the property of roll call. The language used by members of roll call and the guests are spontaneous. It is uncensored. It is not intended to offend any audience, any person. So if you are offended, please just swallow it up and keep on going because it is not intended to offend anyone. But sometimes you will see the anger and or the frustration in some of the panel members, and even those who are on Facebook Live that would make remarks on there. So we're going to turn it over to Rich for the statement of purpose.
Okay, thank you, Rev. Yeah, once again, we're roll call black, white, and blue for better relations. We are pro law enforcement. We're for equitable policing. We're against racism. and Black and Brown Lives Matter. We're glad you're here with us today. If you have any questions, come up on the chat and we'll try to address those. Whether you have a comment, we'll mention those. So we're glad you're here. We started this group because during the rash of unarmed Black men being shot by police in different circumstances, and that sparked the conversation. We got this together. It's been going for how many? I think what, 5 years now? Is it 5? Okay,
Yep.
and we're still going. So we're glad you're here with us, and we're going to continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rich. Thank you. Appreciate it so much. Let's want to keep JT and his wife Orlando in our prayers, Cheech and Anna in our prayers. Mark Matthews, want to keep him and his family in our prayers. We want to congratulate Jamel and Sharon. Jamel and Sharon met 50 years ago today, so we want to congratulate the two of them on their meeting. Mine is coming up November the 9th. It's coming up. That'll be, I think, 40 for me. Yeah, 40. Yep.
It's beautiful.
October 13th for me.
Yeah, I can remember mine real clearly because first of all, that's when I met my wife, but it was also Derek's father's birthday.
Yep.
Yep, it was also that. So that's coming up. But then today the Hempstead Police Department is having their 150th banquet gala. It's gonna be held today that I have to go to like immediately when this show is over. I'll be taking off trying to get over there because I have a couple of things to do there. Also, this month is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we want to, for those who know anyone who has breast cancer, there's two in my family, my mother and my wife, has both beat breast cancer. So we thank God for that, and they're both survivors, and I appreciate God for doing that as much. Also, next week, Wednesday, October the 15th, it will be 1 year from the date that my son has passed away. And that's why you see myself and Dee wearing these hats right here. My daughter decided she wanted to pursue some of his paraphernalia he had. He made these and he was selling these, and he had a clothing line and hat line. He was doing stuff with that. So my daughter took it upon herself to just go ahead and share it for anyone who wanted them. And this is where it is. And I think I put it in our chat. I'm gonna put it on the Zoom crew chat as well, just in case someone does want it. Listen, please do not feel pressure to do anything. That is not the purpose of it. It's for those who just would like to have one. You can get one through her, not through me. I ain't the middleman. I'm gonna put her information up there. Y'all go ahead and talk to her. But I want to thank those who have already supported, those who've already bought these hats. We want to thank you for your purchases already. Listen, today, Will Quick is going to lead us. Will Quick is going to lead us real quick. So he's going to take over.
Something like that.
But,
I just like to tell our audience, welcome. Thank you for joining us today, and point out a little something. We talk about it. We point out some very personal things, what's going on with us, what's going on with our family, asking for prayers. It's just that, because we are family, you all. We all worked in a profession where the people that you were around, you were with them more than you were with your biological family. And that extends to this group that we have here. We are truly family. So for the listeners that are out there, you are part of our family as well. And we don't take that lightly. We appreciate you taking time out your day, week after week, to join with us. That being said, let's give a love for our tech guy, D Schoon, who always keeps us rolling. D, I know you got the love button to clap for something. There we go. There we go. And folks, we're gonna get right into it. D, you gonna drop us into that first video?
Yeah. First, I want to say quickly, I want to mention the chat, everybody in the chat, Donald Coleman, Beverly Harrelson Wells. Don, help me if I miss somebody. Sylvia Butler, Ruth Caffey, and I see Kyle Lauder, but she's here. So she almost wasn't. She's here. Our first video is going to take us to Aurora, Colorado. We got a lot of details that we're going to get from the panel, but I wanted to find a video, so it's kind of graphic. So I want to give you a moment. if you want to just hide the kids, close your eyes, or take a break. We're going to discuss it in its entirety, so you might not need to see it, but it's a pretty graphic video of exactly what happened. It's really short, so you might miss it. You guys let me know if you need me to play it a second time. But I just wanted to do a trigger alert. This is Aurora, Colorado. African-American man was shot by the police. We're going to share some details as soon as we come back. Let's take a look.
Oh my God!
Oh no!
So let me give you guys a little bit of background about what happened in this incident. This officer, he goes to conduct a traffic enforcement stop on this suspect. The suspect had multiple violations, and then after he also tries to conduct the traffic enforcement stop, he rams two other people. So now he's not only had been involved in some traffic collisions, but he also has some traffic violation. The officer goes to contact him, and the suspect is not complying. Now, one thing that most people don't know about this video, because this was not in the information that was on Instagram, is that the suspect actually threw a firearm out the window during the initial encounter. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because the officer, who is by himself, recognizes that this guy is a threat and he has access to weapons.
Okay, let's go from there. Go ahead, Will.
Oh man. Let's go with the first hand that's up because I got some. Dave, go ahead with yours, man.
Well, man, I don't know, man. I really don't know. He threw a weapon out the window. Who to say he doesn't have more in there? And cop was by himself. He was ramming cars or doing something. He had multiple violations, and I just don't know, man. I mean, just because we're a police officer, man, it ain't like we don't get stunned when we see stuff like that. And I don't know how I would have reacted. I don't. I've been in one shootout, but something like that on a vehicle, and a guy in a vehicle, he threw a gun out the window already, and it was horrible shooting. Nobody wants to see anyone get shot to death like that, or get shot. Period. But I don't know how can we judge this cop?
Well, you make an interesting point, Dave, and we're going to circle back around because the original video that was making its rounds and circulating would leave you to really feel a type of way about the actions taken by this cop. And thankfully, D was able to find something that gives us a little more context up front. But you made a very key point. Everybody that's done this job, where there's one gun, there's two guns. If anybody else, where there's one, there's two. And until you confirm that that person is not armed, you have to presume that they are. Rich, I think you were next.
D.
Oh, I'm sorry, D. My bad. D, you're next.
Yeah, D Derek and Rich.
Yeah.
D, Derek.
All right. Really quick. Somebody got some background going on, so if you could, monitor what's going on in your background if you're listening to something, we're hearing it. So I just wanted to say really quick, I'm going to approach this from two different angles because we talked about the original video, and I thought most of the people saw the original video. We see videos from one perspective, and that's what we talk about, witnesses, eyewitness testimony. You see it from one perspective. And us as law enforcement officers, we talked about the +1 theory. I'll explain that. Jerry's not here, but I'll explain what that means. But we try to see things multidimensional because you can't just look at what you're doing, reacting, because then that's where the mistakes happen. When you saw the original video, everybody is up in arms, rah, 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 kill, it's bad. Look at what cops are doing. And then you see this video, and it's sort of a different perspective on what happened. Two things I wanted to say. justifyingly wise, yes, justified. I worry because we got so many law enforcement officers using that gun as a tool of compliance. You could have had a gun. That doesn't mean you have a gun. You understand? You throw your gun out the window. I know the mindset is, well, he threw the gun out the window, he might have another one. That's not the way we can do our job. We have to deal with the facts as they are. Hopefully, the Quiet Storm can help me out. The facts as they are. We can't say, well, this happened down there, now it's happening here, and I reacted because of what I thought might happen. That's not police. That's watching a YouTube video at home, and then armchair deciding what really happened. You have to deal with what is happening in that moment. Your culpability, if you will, in that moment, what he's doing in that moment. If he throws drugs and guns out of the car, he threw drugs and guns out of the car. That doesn't mean he has drugs and guns in the car. All right. And you got to just kind of compartmentalize your thinking. That's what we do as law enforcement. We think about what's happening in this moment. And this way, but it could happen in other ways. That's what's happening in this moment. Don't talk to me about what happened 5 minutes ago, 2 minutes ago, 30 seconds ago, 5 seconds ago. I got to deal with what I'm confronted with. And I think watching this video after watching the other video gives you that hold up, wait a minute. We're not going to, I'm going to use a little, what was the lawyer's name? A little rush to judgment. Don't rush because you see something and then you grab your sign and you want to march, because you could be marching toward the wrong thing. You understand? And that's a bigger conversation, is we just rah, rah, rah. And then when we find out that's not what it is, we're not going to hit. I had to go find this video, y'all. I had to, Rich told me about it. I had to go dig and find this video. The other video was all over the place. Look at what the cops are doing. They shot the poor guy, and the man, it's so sad, and the father of 17 children, all the stuff. I found those videos, but I had to search and find this video. That's a bigger conversation on what I used to say, page 5, and then I'm gonna be done, Will. You know, normally back, I'm old. So back in the day, the Post would have, and I'm gonna tell you about my state trooper does this, and we all, oh, there they go. And then after the investigation to get done, Dave will come in, Donna come in and do the investigation. They realize that's not what happened, and they don't use the same energy and put that on the front page. The officer did not do that. I want to see that. You know, it is on page 8, upside down. Remember where the crossword puzzles used to be? That's where they used to put it. And that's what happens with these videos. On page 8, upside down, the officer was justified. Now we move on. Meanwhile, that officer's life has ever changed. And it's not always that way, and it's not always, but his life is forever changed for that front page news. So I just want us all to let's get the information. Let's see all the videos. I want to see all the videos. I want to talk to all the people. I want to hear all the audio. And then we put it together so we can come as close as we can. Eyewitness testimony. Come on, Kyle. It ain't really that great sometimes. We can get as close as we can to the truth. And that's where we got to try to do this thing. And that's my piece.
All right. Derek, I'm gonna come back to that. But Derek, you're up.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we saw more to the video than was originally shown, because all we saw before was from where the officer punched the guy in the face. There was no narrative or anything like that. But that being said, the guy had a gun. He threw the gun out of the car. He rammed some other cars. Obviously, if the gun is no longer in his hand and he doesn't have access to it, he can't use deadly physical force that way. If he's not in the car anymore, he can't use deadly physical force that way. The officer didn't seem like he was fearing for his life when he punched the guy in the face. He had a gun in his right hand, punched the guy in the face with his left hand. When the guy turns and squares back up to fight, now he has to shoot him. And he shot him twice in the torso and once in the face or head. To me, that's a cut and dry, unjustified use of force, to me. And knowing how my department would see it to the NYPD, that would have been a cut and dried, unjustified use of force. I've said it before. A couple of us have said it. Our guns can't be used as tools of compliance. Once you punch the guy in the face and he turns to square up with you, you should probably put your gun away and do what you have to do. But shooting the guy twice in the torso and once in the head isn't what you have to do if he has his fist balled up to you. That's just my take.
Completely get that, Derek. And, you know, seeing that piece initially, and it's easy for me to see, well, how dangerous could this guy be if you felt comfortable enough to reach up and punch him in the face and then pull your gun out? But I knew from the very beginning, I'm like, okay, I want to know, because he already had his gun out. So I want to know what was the deadly inclination beforehand that the video didn't give us until D showed us and gave us context to it. But what it does is it circles me back around to the very point that you made. Despite all this stuff in advance, the fact that he used his car in a manner that could result in great physical bodily injury or deadly force, which would justify reciprocal deadly force, the fact that he clearly had possession of a gun, and again, D made the point that what happened 30 seconds ago, you have to deal with in the now. Until you have that individual under control and you've already seen that they've had access to a gun, you don't know whether or not they've got another gun. So, but the point that you made, Derek, when he reaches up to punch that guy in the face, and you're already in your mind thinking that's a deadly force encounter, why would you put yourself within reach of a suspect that you saw as a deadly force threat?
Right.
Rich, go ahead with it.
Yeah, you guys stole my thunder a little bit, especially Derek with the, the two to the chest and one to the head. My thing is, if you felt comfortable, like you said, to punch him in the face, then now we're back to impact weapons. You need to put your holster your gun and use something else in your gun belt, which will still be force plus one, because this guy's got his dukes up. You pull out your, your nightstick, a PR-24, or you decide you want to use a taser, or you've already made it close physical contact by punching the guy. He's squaring up in fight mode. I don't think, my opinion was, it's not justified. Just like Derek said, he needed to use another tactic at that point. He was no threat on his life before he needed to use a gun to stop him. And then his shots, if he shot him once, okay, he shot him twice in the chest, and the headshot's a kill shot. Unarmed. Yeah, he had a gun, but the gun's not being put at you right now. He didn't fear for it. He felt for his safety because probably he was kind of a punk and didn't know how to fight. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he was terrified because he couldn't fight. But if it was me, if the fight's on, I'm putting my gun away and I'm using my other tools that I have. At one point in my career, we had nunchucks. They're called OPNs. I would use those, and then I would use them on this guy. So I just feel like no matter what he did prior to that, he wasn't faced with the danger at that point with the guy squaring off with him with his fist, where he had to take his life. And I equate that to Trump sending out these teams to just blow these drug ships up. We're supposed to take these people into custody by whatever means, and they get trial. They don't get executed on the spot because they're believed to be carrying drugs. So I just think it's an overreach. I think this is probably why the video has been taken down, because the officer may kind of make a story to be somewhat legal, but the shooting's not justified. Not in my book. And maybe people feel differently, but I think the average public member, anybody watching that video, if they saw the graphic video of the two shots to the chest and one to the head, would think that was wrong. That's mine. Thanks.
Well,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Carl Saunders wants to know, has anyone on the panel had to discharge your firearm during an altercation? So that could be discussed while we're in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have
But in the meantime, AC, I think you're up next.
You're on mute, AC.
You're on mute. There we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We keep alluding to the other video that's kind of horrific, and for those who haven't seen it, it starts when an officer approaches a man, run up to a guy from behind, punches him in the head from the back around the face, and the guy turns around, squares up, and then that's when we see the video here. The guy confronts him, trying to fight. He fires 2 rounds in his torso area and then 1 in the head. The guy falls after 1 in the head, and that's very odd. It looked really bad. Now this video gave us a little more background information. Granted, it's coming from someone who we can't verify what it is, but if what he said is true, I kind of understand a little more how he got here. I still don't like being here. The +1 doctrine, somebody mentioned that. They talked about, or D's up next, he can talk about it more. I'm gonna leave that to him. Just because he had a gun doesn't mean he has a gun. Now, it does give you the right to search for another gun, but you don't shoot to search someone.
Ooh. Okay.
The reason you use deadly physical force is because you're trying to stop somebody from using deadly physical force against you or someone else. If you thought that guy was going to kill you at that time, I kind of, okay, you might have to prove that to use deadly physical force. But if I was afraid that the guy was going to kill me at that time, I wouldn't have ran up behind him and punched him in the face either. Now, that being said, I heard Rich say he put his gun away, all that. I don't know if I want, it's not the best man standing. So you don't put your tools down and fight somebody the same way they're fighting you. You want to use as much as possible to subdue this person to bring them to justice. We often think of cops, this person's guilty, we got to take him in regardless of what's going on. And if he doesn't want to come in, we're going to kill him here. That's not what police work is. That's vigilante work.
What AC? You said I shouldn't put my gun away.
No, I said I don't know if I would have just put it away to go hand to hand or anything like that. I wouldn't have done that. Not that you should do what you think is good for you.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say go hand to hand.
Me, I'm not sure if I got rid of all my tools and try to go hand to hand or anything like that. I know you didn't say that. You said you got impact tools.
Impact tools, yeah. I would have used that, yeah.
I understand. Okay. But I'm saying if you didn't think that you should go hand to hand or hands on with this person, you should have ran around and punched you in the back of the head. You could have tased him from the back just as well.
Yep. True.
Yep. You're right.
True.
Why didn't we show the other video?
I don't think it's available anymore because it was so graphic. It was very up close to where you could literally see the guy's head snap back from the headshot. So if I'm not mistaken, isn't that correct, D, the one that you saw?
Yeah, and it was it wasn't requested. I thought we had dealt with that a couple of weeks ago. So to see the same video that we saw a couple of weeks ago, this was just another video. As if Rich, you can correct me. You asked for another direction, more information came out type.
No, I wanted the graphic video because
that was this week.
Yeah. I sent it in the middle of the week this week or early in the week. Yeah.
I asked for the graphic video. The one we saw because they adjusted the video that Rev posted in the chat that was graphic. They had cut that off and showed right when he squared off the fight. They didn't show the shooting anymore.
Yeah,
so I was wondering if you could find a video that had the full graphic video to show because we very rarely show a really graphic video, but that was one that's worth taking a look at so everybody could see how the impact of that was and how it happened and right in that moment, so.
So now what I noticed, the original video that I saw that was the more graphic that we haven't spoken on. I like to ask this question of the panel. If you're by yourself and more than one individual is approaching you in an aggressive manner, even in this case where he provoked it by punching this guy in the face, how many individuals approaching you in an aggressive manner does it take before you feel like it's a potentially deadly force encounter? And the reason why I asked that question is because that other video, the original one that I saw, in addition to the deceased response to the punch in the face, and he turned around and square up, there are two other individuals approaching from behind him. And the appearance to me is that I didn't see phones out, and their movements appeared to be very deliberate in the direction towards the officer. And that's the best way I can describe it. So that's why I asked the question, given what you saw of this man's behavior and demonstrated that by use of the car, having previous access to a firearm, and now here you are potentially facing three individuals, at what point in time does the number of individuals approaching you rise to a level of potential deadly force encounter?
Where's the gun? Where is the gun?
Well, but again, it's three individuals.
Yeah. No, but one of them could have the gun now.
Well, and that's the other piece. Yeah, that's the other piece too. That's the other piece too.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying, but to add to that, at any point in time, you can reassess after the first shot, after the second shot.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I think
can see that because in that same video, you see the other two, once he squeezed off the round, they about faced and got out of there.
Yeah. They was coming around, setting them up. I saw that. But after the first two shots, you don't have to take the third. Matter of fact, now we used to take tap, rack, and bang. So if you got malfunction, you shoot to make sure it's clear. Now you tap, rack, and assess. And I said to say, after you shoot your first two shots, you're supposed to see what's going on. Do you need another shot?
Right.
Not because another shot makes it more legal or illegal, but because you have a background.
Correct.
And you don't want bullets flying that don't need to fly.
Agreed. D, your hands up.
All right. Yeah, two quick points I wanted to make. It's awesome, the different perspectives in the room. I love that, but I want to say something specifically to what Will said and Rich said. The litmus test, as we find out, is the officer feared for his life. Right? We love saying that. And what does that mean? I heard something funny. I'm not going to take credit for it, but online this week. What does that mean? Maybe we should find out before a law enforcement officer becomes a law enforcer what he's fearful of. What's going to be him? Because I have a family member that's scared of bugs. She will kill you about a bug. She will kill and has killed you about a bug. But that's not because that's that fear. We should find out if that fear is going to adversely affect their job. One thing we didn't look at here, and most of us in the room, a couple of us I have the opportunity to work with, what happened to command presence? What happened to you being able to handle a situation? Why we got to pull our gun out first? I can't go nowhere once the gun's out. It has to progress to that for me. But my command presence, I stop. If you keep coming toward me, this is what's going to happen. Hey, see how the voice gets? It gets progressively higher, right? Mm-hmm. I'm only going to tell you one more time. You understand what's going to go on. We don't have to. We pull our gun and then we start to, if you notice, all of the shootings, you pull your gun out first and then you start to back up and then you start to run. And having done some martial arts and some boxing with some guys that like to challenge the police all the time, they're watching your presence. They're watching how you handle business. They know who to mess with and who not to mess with. And with the state police, I was just somebody was when I do speeches and I'm watching somebody else, I'm always standing up in the corner, and they made mention of that only about 5 minutes ago. Why are you always standing up in the corner? Everybody in the room knows I'm ready to do what I need to do when I do. Command presence. I'm not trying to get something to eat. I'm not chilling out in the back. I'm not telling jokes. I'm serious and about my business. We got to go back to training these officers to be serious and about your business, because then these things wouldn't happen. Those guys aren't running up. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna call you out. They ain't running up on Don or Will like that. Not happening. I'm gonna tell you, they not running up on me like that.
Right.
No, sir. No, sir. When I jump out of my car, Stetson on, I'm letting you know what's going to happen and what you should do. If you do, I said this before, if you do anything other than what I said, it's going to be met with the necessary force. I think we got to get back to that, because we want to what feared, what he thought, what this guy. There's going to be thousands. Each situation for all of us, there's thousands of scenarios. I create the scenario. I'm here. I go into a bar fight. There's 40 people fighting. The troopers are here. This is what's happening. You stand over there. You don't move. I got to deal with that. My gun, unless I see a gun and it's a threat to me or a third person, I'm useless now, right? I'm useless. I got a gun in one hand and punch somebody in the other hand. That in and of itself for the state police is a fireable offense. You don't punch nobody with a gun. Are you out of your mind?
Yes.
You're 100% right. You don't go hands on with the gun in your hand. You don't do that.
But there's the progression. I have to articulate the progression. And I know the reports. Gun, we get reports, and I know we know afterwards what the reports were. I'm gonna tell you that law enforcement officer didn't have all the information, because we never do. If anybody in here going to a scene, Dave is up there to a homicide scene, you get to the homicide scene and it ain't nothing what you thought it was.
Nope.
What did y'all tell me? And now I got to start all over again. So what I'm saying that to say, you have to deal with what's in front of you. What's in front of you in that moment. And all of these other things on Monday morning quarterback and coming out, and they're wonderful things. Great for conversation. But we got to understand, you in that situation have to have your command presence, and you have to handle that situation. And if you have to,
and D, based on what you're saying, there was no verbal commands. He did
nothing.
I never heard him say anything.
Nothing.
He said nothing.
You know how much I got to talk to somebody before I punch him? You know how much conversation I'm gonna have before I punch you?
Exactly. Not one command. Well, what did he tell him to do? He didn't say get on the ground.
Right.
He didn't say drop to your knees.
Back up.
And none of that. Just okay. Well, come towards me.
Don't come at me like that. Put your hands down. Open your hands. You're being aggressive. I have to meet that. All of this stuff, and it doesn't happen. And it tells the people around, if we know this guy is a lunch money victim. I say it all the time. Say it again. Lunch money victim. I'm gonna call it what it is. It's a lunch money victim. That's what we got out there, and you're gonna have lunch money results, and that's what we got. We got lunch money results from the top to the lunch money results. Everybody's talking tough, and we say, "Come on, Dave," till the shooting starts. Till the body's like, "You tough, you real tough." Till the shooting starts, then we get to see. I'm done.
So I'm gonna say this real quick, because we got 3 more hands going up. We're still at a bit of a disadvantage, because the video that we saw picked up almost immediately when he launched the punch at the guy. So I don't know what dialogue took place. I don't think any of us does, because at that point, once that was done and the shooting took place, the young man went into the narrative about his perspective of what happened in regards to the ramming the other cars and throwing the gun out. So we don't know, once the officer got out the car, at least I haven't seen a video in regards to whether or not he gave any commands before that first punch, because we don't have enough video footage beforehand to make that determination, at least not for me anyway. Real quick though, I remember Carl Sanders asked the question, by show of hands, do we have anyone that has had to discharge their firearm in the execution of their duties? Anybody?
No.
No?
Not on a person.
Yeah, okay.
I have.
Well,
So
go ahead, Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
yeah, I had to do.
I want to go
I
after
do it with a
Dave.
deer.
I
I had
have.
to do it with a dip. That's another story. But I like the fact that we talked about that because Mr. Sanders, I forget what the percentage is, but it's extremely high. The number of officers that go through their career that actually have to discharge their weapon. I'm sorry, that discharge their weapon is very low. The vast majority of officers that go through their career never have to discharge their weapon in the line of duty.
You got
And
Dave.
that's
Don't forget Dave. Dave said he has.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave has. My bad, my bad. And you figure even in the percentage of our group, and Dave's being the only one, that's still a very low percentage. And that says a lot about the professionalism of the individuals that do this job, top to bottom. Some of the boneheads notwithstanding. So I saw Jim's hand up. Jim, did you have a comment?
Yeah, what I'm just going to comment on, I did not see the video, so I'm not commenting on that. So what struck me and why I put my hand up, Will, is when you said, if two people are coming at you, at what point do you feel that deadly physical force may be something you may consider? And that's something that I quite frankly have thought of even throughout my whole career when I was on the job, as to when does that become, I understand the command presence and using verbal tactics and going up the scale with stuff. But you tell two people to stay there and they both start aggressively coming at you. Now, I know some of you guys are probably confident that you could, maybe handle yourself, but us kind of smaller guys, that's kind of, and not a lunch money victim, but kind of terrifying when two big strapping guys are coming at you and you're all by yourself out there.
That's right.
So at what point would you guys say, I should take out my gun? And if they keep coming, let it happen.
That was the
I'm
point.
throwing it out there because I think it's a great question and a great issue.
Me too.
And that was the point I tried. We in our profession, when you look at it, because we encourage diversity in our profession. Well, we would encourage diversity in our profession. We know some that wouldn't, but that's another story for another day. But as a woman, take for instance, CJ, physically, there's most likely CJ is not on the same strength level as me, as Don, as AC. So her perception of coming across a guy like AC size and looking at his hands.
Done.
Her perception of threat from AC is very different than what mine would be. And I can tell you now, mine would be, but and she gets that benefit or that grace in that situation where she gets to take a look at AC and physically realize he is an overmatch for her. And she's going to have to escalate her level of force and to overcome his threat.
Now we're talking two guys now, don't forget. Two guys.
Well, I mean, but I'm saying it's relative because with CJ, it could only take one guy just looking at AC.
Yeah, you're right.
Is my point.
Right.
So it's all relative to the totality of the circumstances. Derek, what you got?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. You cannot handcuff someone with a gun in your hand.
No.
And
true.
Obviously, if you're trying to arrest this guy, the goal is to get him handcuffed. So the gun in your hand, if you're not in a space where you're going to be justified in using deadly physical force, the gun is an impediment. So that's the first problem. The other thing is, in the city, in New York City, there's seldom a time where you're arresting someone and there aren't a bunch of other people milling around. In the street, they might be a little bit further away from you. In the subway, you could be dealing with someone and there might be 300, 400, 500 people on the platform. If a train just lets out, people are literally walking 3 feet from you by the hundreds. it's something that you have to deal with. Now, these guys were milling around. They weren't like running at this cop. And he never made a command to any of the three guys, the guy that he was dealing with and the other two guys that were milling around in the background. But they weren't like trying to bum rush him. They were just kind of milling around, running their mouth. If you work in an urban environment, that's something that you kind of get used to it. And I'll tell you something else. Gun aside, if there are a couple of people milling around and you hit somebody hard enough and they drop, those other guys are backing up. Now, that's not something that I would say everyone can do, but I've seen it done and I've done it. They've had friends milling around. You crack one guy hard enough in his jaw, and when he drops, his friends are backing the hell up. So I mean, like I said, the guys weren't bum rushing him. They were kind of just complaining like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? They were making a bunch of noise, but they weren't bum rushing the cop. And he could have made a command to any of them, and he didn't. All he did was shoot the guy 3 times.
All right.
Kyle has a statement. Kyle has a
sorry.
statement. You don't want to. Come on. It's a good question. All right.
It's also easier. It's also easier to pull your gun out if you need to than it is to put it back. So people practice drawing. You don't practice putting your gun back. So
you got a point there. You got a point.
Good.
Dave.
Yeah. At the beginning, first of all, at the beginning, I'm using my phone, so I didn't see the cop throw the punch and all that. You know what I mean? But listen to you guys who actually had a clear view of the video. I think every one of you are absolutely right. Now, a gentleman asked earlier if we ever used our guns, doing our duty, and but it was totally different circumstances. Okay, and in my case, it was 3 white dudes from Tennessee coming up to murder a black wife and the husband because they owed them drug money. We didn't know that, but they used us. The black family used us as guinea pigs. Okay, not telling us the truth why the guys really came to their house that night. So we went looking for him with the people in the back of the car, and the guy ran by me, and I went and chased him. And New York City, man, back in the day, they had them big green dumpsters on the garbage on the street corner. So you lose sight of this guy, and I'm standing in the middle of the street looking for him. Okay, where the hell he go? He went that fast. He ain't Mookie Wilson. And the guy popped up behind the dumpster and started unloading on me. And he didn't hit me, but I was 15, maybe 10, 15 feet away from him. He just popping rounds at me, man. And I hit the guy 4 times. Once in the head. And I walked up to him, and the guy still had possession of the gun, and I'm thinking he's done, he's finished. And he says, call me an ambulance, nigga. I'm hurt. Okay? Now, being that this cop threw this punch at this guy, right? He's not using his strong hand. He has a gun in his strong hand, I presume. So you ain't hurting nobody. Unless you Joe Frazier. Right?
Yeah.
Unless you Joe Frazier or George Foreman or Sonny Liston. You ain't hurting nobody. You just gonna make an angry guy angrier. Okay? And
what he did.
Huh?
Which is what he did.
That's exactly what he did. And the dude got angry. Now you saying to yourself, oh shit, he gonna kill me. He gonna whoop my ass and beat me to death.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm sure that's what he told his, that's what he told his, I don't know if they have a union down there, but that's what he told his superiors, So all I'm saying, man, is, we don't have the same training that these guys have nowadays, fellas. In our academy, man, but they told us all the time, man, you don't see no fucking gun, you don't pull no gun out, you guys got to go hand to hand. That's what they told us. They drilled us in that. They drilled that shit into our heads every day, hand to hand. Women, you don't like it? Get the hell out of here now. But you're gonna have to go hand to hand with a man or with a woman, and they could all fight. Now what? You want to live? What you gonna do? Pull your gun out and shoot them? What? They don't have no gun. They said every day they drilled that into us, man.
Mm-hmm.
But see, nowadays, man, maybe it was me, man, because we got trained by older guys, man. Some guys was in Vietnam when I was in the academy. They trained us, but but maybe it's me, man. But nowadays, man, it's like kids training kids. And I hate to say it like that because I don't want to disrespect any law enforcement personnel. I don't. But it's like, what scenarios are you using to train these people?
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing? We did role plays. People thought it was bullshit, but it's not bullshit because every role play we did, shit happened down the street.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
they weren't giving us no bullshit role plays. They giving us shit that happened in the street. And we went to the range to shoot. Okay, this one brother, Willie, I forgot his last name, but he was in a gunfight at a damn house on a burglary run. And the guy was chasing him around the car. He kept reloading his 38, one shot at a time, one bullet at a time, one bullet at a time. That saved his life. One bullet at a time, he kept reloading because he didn't have time to get his speed loader out. And he kept firing back one bullet at a time. One bullet, flip the chamber, bang. One bullet, flip the chamber, bang. And it saved his fucking life. They're not feeding us bullshit in the academy. They're trying to tell us this is the kind of shit that can happen to us. And so, you know what, man? The training of some of these departments, man, and we, you know, I don't know where that happened at. You guys know, I don't. But some of the training, man, you got kids training kids, man, and I don't know. It's like, you know, back in the day, we used to interact with other departments. New York with LA, Chicago, DC. We interacted with them all the time. Or the shit that they ran into, the FBI. You okay? The FBI would send out those articles, what happened to one of the agents doing a shooting or something like that. Look out for this, look out for that. It seems like we don't have that anymore. New York State Police send us shit all the time. What they ran into.
And Dave, you got a really good point about how the training has changed. I'm gonna touch on something. I saw Don had his hand up, his finger up real quick.
Yeah, with what Dave was saying as well. When Derek came on, they had hand-to-hand combat. I mean, boxing was real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They changed it right around the time I came on. I think Derek came on 82, 83. 83. I came on 86. In 86, we couldn't hit each other.
Nope.
You know, male or female, it didn't make a difference. Whoever you paired up with, it was on. Then they changed it because people were complaining about getting hurt. And so it changed the whole everything, because when you're on the street, they're going to fight you like that.
Right.
You know, and one other thing before I go, Derek, just because I want to get Carl Saunders' question up in there. He says, which I don't agree with. He said, when you guys were cops, wasn't many guns on the street. False.
Nonsense.
Yeah,
2,000 homicides a year in New York City. 2,000 a year.
Yeah,
a whole bunch of guns out there. A whole bunch of guns out there.
Yeah, it was.
Better shit than what we had. Better shit than what we had.
Right.
So I'd like to introduce this point. I'd like to introduce this point about training as a former subject control and arrest techniques instructor for the state of North Carolina, which a lot of places call defensive tactics. When you're talking about your training, you have offensive tools, which usually come into play when you have a threat level and you need to escalate your level of force to overcome the threat. But what a lot of us, or what I'm seeing a lot of, is we are ignoring our defensive tools, cover and concealment. And when you expose yourself out from behind cover or concealment, you are not giving yourself, like the point D made a second ago, you're not giving yourself any place to go. In that scenario, if I stop a car and the driver gets out, I don't run up on that driver no matter what they did. If I saw a gun come out, I'm using my car as cover. I might have my gun at the low ready because I don't see anything in his hands, but I'm giving him commands, and especially until I get additional persons there. Because if I engage in a one-on-one encounter in an environment that I can't control and I don't have additional eyes to help me, I'm putting myself in an unnecessary disadvantage and leaving myself very little options for trying to de-escalate and bring this thing down. AC, you were next.
Thanks.
Oh,
You just muted
up on
yourself.
mute,
AC.
AC.
Before we go any further, want you to know I was afraid of Cheryl. So that's one. Secondly, Jim, two guys coming at you, more people you want to handle. It's up to you to determine what your fear level is, and that's it's hard to other people to understand what you feel, but it's up to you. I agree. But my questions on top of that would be, if you have to discharge your weapon, when do you stop? Do you gotta shoot both of them? No, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Well,
it's because you can't.
AC, in that scenario that I brought up, back in the academy days that I went through, and that was a lot longer, as you well know. But we were trained that even in an altercation, and I'm not even talking about two guys, I'm talking about one guy, that even in an altercation where I'm losing a fight, it's deadly physical force. That was my training in 1973. Oh. If you got into an altercation with somebody who say you were trying to make an arrest and it became fisticuffs and there's no help around, we were trained under no circumstances will you let this guy knock you out.
Yeah, you can't lose. I agree.
You can't lose. Don't let him take your gun, because if he does, he's killing you with it. So therefore, that was the reason you could use deadly physical force, because if you lose this fight, he will now have deadly physical force on you. That's the way training was back then.
Yeah.
So if two guys came at you, that was an easy choice.
They
but
told
even
us the
one
same
guy
thing in the academy, Jim. I came in '87, and they said, if you think you're about to you're going to get rendered unconscious, pull your gun and blast his ass.
So it did stay. I thought maybe since my time things have changed.
That's still that case. As far as I know.
I'm about to say, but you don't have to tell me that.
Okay.
you don't have to train. You don't have to train me to do that.
Well, say Don, that's human nature.
I think it goes back to what Will was discussing earlier about, like he said, based on the appearance, like CJ up against Donald, that would have some weight into whether or not you can use deadly physical force. But it probably is more in the eye of the beholder. You can have a guy, as we all say, lunch money victim. A lunch money victim, which is real, right? They're real, but do they really fear they're going to get their behinds kicked, knocked out, and have their gun? Yeah, they do. Yeah. They do.
Can't change hard. You can't change hard.
No.
Part of that also is, where does that person live in that officer's brain? If it's a black guy, is that a feared person because he's a black guy?
Ooh. Okay, AC.
I have to give credit to somebody else who wrote that.
Cook, AC, cook with it now.
It's not.
Go ahead and cook with it now.
But I'm saying that's
I don't think there's any doubt from anybody on this panel that that's a real thing.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, we talk about it all the time. It's a real thing.
So, absolutely.
You sucker punch a guy and he turns around and puts his fist up. Now you're afraid.
Yeah.
You're afraid for your life.
If you can eat a punch like that and then turn around and ready to knuckle up, the mindset, kind of like what D was saying, the mindset of that guy is, you a punk. Not only do you have your gun on me, you throw a punch that I can eat, or we gonna see just how much of a man you are. And now you stuck.
But if you expand that out, does the little black boy, is that the same person when you see him? Is the little black boy becomes a big black man because you're afraid that he might beat you up?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that happens today.
Yep, it does. D, what you got?
I'm not getting further into training. I know D more.
First of all, I'm gonna speak for everybody in the room. We all scared of CJ, so let's just be clear.
I ain't scared of her. I ain't
Yes, you
scared of
are.
her.
Yes, you are. I seen you. I seen you. Yes, you are.
Especially you, Dave.
I'm
We
gonna
know
get
you are,
for
Dave.
spraying me in my eyes.
We know
I
you
can't
are.
see to this day. I can't see to this day because of you. I'm getting you.
That's what I mean. I just want to say two quick things, really. One of the agencies I was with taught parking your weapon. It's a thing that's called when you get into a situation, the weapon had to come out, but they actually taught you how to park your weapon. The second thing I want to say for Will in defensive tactics, we were taught to fight in a way that gun is between you and the ground. He's gonna get some licks in because I can't make it available to him. I think I said it a couple of years ago. We in a fight. You're a one-armed man. I was very clear with that. You're a one-armed man, so you have to learn how to handle yourself being a one-armed man. What I'm saying is, I guess to answer Kyle, the training is not that anymore because there are so many different levels to the training, too many lawsuits, things that happen. Boxing didn't stop because we just stopped wanting to box. Yo, we used to, if you could see the lunch line after the boxing, we all had black eyes. We all had, because if you beat one guy, then they gave you two. If you beat two, then they gave you three. So you're going to have black eyes and hurt. It was just, that was boxing. Everybody knew. They looked and said, ooh, what's wrong with them? That's boxing day. You just had to take a shot. Because you're not going to know you don't know anybody here have been hit. I have this whole side of my face broken. I say it all the time. I used to be handsome. I'm not handsome no more. This whole side of my face was broken. If you couldn't, before I got that shot, I didn't know I could take a shot. If you don't know how to take a shot, how are you going to be able to do your job? And the idea and the training should be, to answer Kyle, is we got to get back to training that our trainees or our law enforcement officers are able to handle themselves without using that gun as a tool of compliance.
Yeah.
That gun is the last resort, should be near the ground, should be parked in there. We have, first of all, most of us that carry guns on duty in uniform, you need to act, excuse me, Don, you need to act to God to get that thing out the holster. If it's yours, first of all, there's two safeties, and you got to pull it out the exact trajectory to get it out. So with all of these things, the gun shouldn't be the first thing. When it's the first thing, when it's the first thing you pull out, now I would say you're at a disadvantage, because now you got to do something. Now you got to use it, and the situation has to fit. If it's three guys, I maybe that was the New York City training or the Hempstead training. We used to have to fight three guys, and the idea was, don't let them get your gun. And you got to fight, and you got to win that fight, and you got to fight until you win that fight. Those were bad days. I got lumps and injuries. I tell you, you just got to fight. There was no, okay, now pull your gun, you're going to win the fight. That wasn't even a conversation. So I'm saying the training, from what I'm seeing, is different. And that's why the problems arise. People sue. You can't have a black eye anymore. You can't have a hurt shoulder, and we're all broken up. All of us, everybody in the room is broken up. We just came from Richmond. We had a bad spades hand. We had 3 back braces and a possible leg iron. That's it. We were walking around limping. We were walking around limping. We were hurting. Look, it's the nature of the job. But now we got people that don't want to get hurt. You can't say something that's gonna make me feel bad. Feel bad? We were taught, he's talking to the uniform, not me. He don't know me. He could call me anything. What'd you say, Dave? He said that so many N-words. What?
Yeah.
You better put some stank on that for me to get me turned up. And
Then I had to
I'm
call
going home,
Zach
you
and
going to
Amber because
jail.
they
You
actually
keep
called
up
me
with
that.
that. It's all right. So I'm just saying the training, the answer, Kyle, has changed because society has changed, so that it's now got to be the possibility for everybody to get through. But the problem is we're getting the people, and I'm just going to round it out, that are scared of insects. Now they carrying guns, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Park your weapon.
I agree with what everybody's saying. And Don's right. Yeah, I went to the transit. I started out.
You mute yourself. Oh, where'd he go? Oh.
He's eating crabs.
Where you at, man?
No, somebody. I started out with the Transit Academy, and we had the box. And when it came to, and one of the instructors was a boxer. So if you could box, you'd end up going against him. If you couldn't box, then you go up against whoever was there. Now, if you came up against a female, the boxer instructor would tell you, you either hit her or I hit you. She needs to know now whether she can take a hit or not, what it's going to feel like in her reaction. That's done with mace. That's done with a lot of things. But the one thing that really hasn't been mentioned is we get a bunch of weapons. We get mace, pepper spray. We get a Saleaton, which is like a back in the day was a nightstick. Now we get the metal Saleatons, which a lot of guys don't carry, which is silly because it's just another weapon where if you do get somebody who looks like they can handle themselves, you can take them down. It gives you more odds because it's a metal, basically a metal baton that opens up.
Yeah.
And usually if you know how to snap it and they hear it, they'll back down.
Yeah.
Not everybody. Some need to learn the hard way. We all got kids, and we can all attest. Some people just need to learn the hard way. But that would happen. I had a guy on terrace running from 3 cops, and I come out between the 2 parked cars, and I snapped it out, and he saw me, stopped. You know, I was going to take his knees out, and he knew it, and he stopped, put his hands on the wall, didn't have to hit him, cuffed him easy like gentlemen, brought him inside headquarters, and that was that. So there's a lot of weapons. I don't know if guys still carry slappers, but, you know, there was a lot of weapons. We didn't have to go from attempted fisticuffs right to shooting. But it is subjective. If you do get somebody who is small framed and they go against the person who's just big, you know, they may have to use, I'm not saying Cheryl, because I saw Cheryl take down a guy twice her size and she laid him up against the wall and the fight was over. But, you know, I know you're laughing, Cheryl, but it's selective. But just know that if you use that weapon, you will be judged. And you don't want to lose.
And you will be judged by people that aren't in law enforcement and they don't understand.
Correct.
So they don't understand. They're seeing things from their point of view.
So you all make some interesting points. And since we know the vast majority of our crew did their work up north, and we've already talked about some significant differences between up north and down south, me being down south. How many of you all, during the course of your training, as things were evolving, did they focus on specific target areas, not just boxing, like pressure points, brachial plexus, suprascapular, common peroneal?
They did.
And the reason why I bring that up for our audience in particular is, if we stand in there, it does me no good as a subject control and arrest techniques instructor to teach people boxing. The only thing that does is to try to condition them to be able to handle taking a punch. And I get that. But the way training is going now, the goal is to get the subject under control. And the object is to stay or put yourself in a position being one level up. The target areas for brachial plexus here on the neck, for suprascapular here in the shoulder, for common peroneal in the thigh, for radial in the arm, particularly with the impact weapon with the expandable baton. It's a situation to gain pain compliance and be able to transition into a cuffing mode. We all know that the safest place to cuff someone is when they are prone out on the ground. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And ideally, you feel like that the person is that much of a threat and you're giving commands, they're not following your commands until they are prone out on the ground with their hands behind their back, if you're going to cuff them. And that's when, like Dee was saying, if you're going to move in the cuff, the gun can't be a part of that equation. So I know we stayed on this one for quite some time, and rightfully so, because it's got a lot of moving parts to it, and I'm sure it may come back around again. Anybody got any closing remarks about this particular video?
Yeah, I do. Got one more. When I was in the one, my partner who fought in Vietnam, he showed me. We had a guy who was, I think it was Korean. Yeah, he was Korean. And we went. It was a domestic. We went to his apartment. So he didn't realize my ex-partner in the city looked like AC. I mean, even down to the glasses. And this is big. And the guy spoke to his wife and said, listen, don't say nothing when the police leave. We're going to have a problem if you say anything. Well, unbeknownst to him, my partner spoke Korean. So when he said back to the guy in Korean what he said and what was going to happen, my man's eyes got as big as pies. But the teaching point that he showed me is this guy was in shorts. And he was like, Mark, he said, did you see the guy's legs? And I was like, yeah, they big legs. Did you see how muscular the front of his shins were? I'm like, oh, yeah, now that you mentioned it. He said, that guy knew martial arts.
Muay Thai.
Yeah, he could kick your head off and not go out with just one thing. So even the prone position where guys on the ground, especially with jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, guys on the ground and you about to cuff them, if you don't pay attention,
yes,
one or two flips, next thing you know, you're prone on the ground on top of you. So nowadays, much more people than, say, back in Jim's days know how to do martial arts. And if you look at MMA, most guys aren't built like Donald, Derek, Dave. Those guys will knock you out, and they look slim. They look wiry. Mm-hmm. So we can't always judge people by how they look. Times have changed, and policing has to adjust. And you can't just assume. But unfortunately, like Derek said, some of the times the people who will judge you don't know that. And they'll look at a guy as big as Donald and a guy's small frame and be like, you afraid of him or you lost the fight to him? But yo, this guy was a martial artist and he knew his stuff. One of the martial arts that wasn't good for police work was Taekwondo. Taekwondo is a lot of kicking. Okay, you're not going to be kicking with a gun belt. And it looks horrible. You could be a master. It looks horrible if I go to arrest you and now I'm doing flying Bruce Lee kicks in the air. Jiu-jitsu was better. Judo is better. Come along. A lot of arts that had come-alongs, like Will say, yeah, using pressure points to give pain. So they do comply. So, exactly. So that's just something. But like I said, policing has to change. That was it.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking about the legs. Cauliflower ear is another dead giveaway. Yeah. When they got all of that built up around their ear, that's another dead giveaway. And that's a part of our situational awareness and totality of circumstances when we're assessing threat. I see somebody with cauliflower ear, I know at the very least they have extensive wrestling experience, most likely in this day and time, MMA experience, because you don't get that just being a passerby. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
Anybody else on this one?
I got to roll, guys. I got to go to work tonight. I got to get some kind of sleep.
All right, Dave. You know
All
you're
right, all right, man. Great conversation today. Great show, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Sleep
Dean,
well.
you gonna roll us into the next one, man?
Yeah. Mark, you didn't talk about Aikido. You know I know that's why you didn't talk about it, 'cause that's my stuff, but just to let you know. Anyway,
Sorry.
our next video is going to take us to Louisiana. Now, we saw a young football player that was accused in an accident, and it turned out he ended up unaliving himself, and it turned out what was reported by the police was not actually what happened. Let's take a look.
Louisiana State Police are suggesting there may be more to the story in a deadly crash involving an LSU football player. Keep in mind the timeline here. Police charged Kyron Lacey with negligent homicide back in January, saying his reckless driving led to this deadly crash. Lacey was never formally convicted because he died by suicide while waiting for his trial. Now, Lacey's attorney, remember we told you this last night, Lacey's attorney says he didn't do it. And he says this video you're about to see proves it. He says it shows Lacey was nowhere near the crash when it happened.
You're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyron Lacey come to a stop.
That's that green car there, the green one seen at the end. Lacey's lawyer said he was more than 70 yards away from the crash when it happened. Now, the state police, they are putting out their own video today. This video, look at this. You can see Lacey's green Charger right here. Police say he drove illegally in the wrong lane when other cars swerved out of the way, allegedly leading to the crash. Here's what one witness said, according to this new video.
Did you see a green Charger flying that way? A green Charger that going that way? There was a green Charger. There was a green Charger that caused all this. SRT8, he caused all that. He went to pass the cars way back there, sir.
The green Charger collided with these cars?
He went right into it.
NBC News reached out to Lacey's attorney, but we haven't yet heard back. I want to go to George Solis now, and this is a story that has raised a lot of questions with civil rights groups and more. The state's attorney general is now out with a new statement today, also backing up police, right?
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. What you have here is obviously a tale of two very different narratives. This all comes very quickly after Lacey's attorney put out that video package, essentially trying to say that Kyron Lacey was not at fault during this crash. Now, he never disputed that Mr. Lacey did go into the oncoming traffic lane, but again, the claim there was that he was a football field's length away when he merged back into the right lane, and that he was given ample time to course correct, essentially, and that he had no connection to this crash. And then again today, very quickly after that video surfaced, you had Louisiana State Police put out their own almost 12-minute video that not only depicts witnesses there on the ground after the crash pointing towards the green Charger, referring to Kyron Lacey's car, but also a witness statement that was taken there from one of those troopers where, again, they point to Kyron Lacey's car, saying it was the Charger that caused all of this. And as you mentioned, the Attorney General, Liz Murrill, saying right now she is still reviewing everything from Louisiana State Police. But the facts of the matter here is that no one disputes that his actions may have led to this crash. She says every witness identified the green Charger Kyron Lacey was determined to be driving as having put the events in motion that led to the head-on collision, which killed 78-year-old veteran Herman Hall, which was the person that unfortunately passed away. As far as Lacey goes, well, he was supposed to go before this case was supposed to go towards a grand jury, but unfortunately we know that he died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. His own attorney saying that the pressure of this case may have been a factor in that role, but obviously just adding another complexity to this already complex case, Hallie.
That's for sure. George Solis, thank you very much. We should note if you or somebody you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, you can call or text the National Suicide Hotline at 988.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news.
So y'all have to forgive me. I've got a little bit of a glare, but I don't see. Okay, we got a hand up here. Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
So I'm just want to say this. You know, that 100 yards was a football field. The distance is very minimal the higher your rate of speed is. So if you're doing 10 miles an hour, you know, that seems like a really long distance. But if you're doing 120 miles an hour, you can do a football field in the blink of an eye. So that excuse of the distance doesn't even hold water, because you could see in the video that vehicle was moving quickly. That was it.
Absolutely. D.
I wanted to say quickly, just because we have a lot of non-police people out there, and I know Don now records it as I record. We see this all the time. We see vehicles at high rates of speed operating outside of the law, and an accident is caused by your actions. I've seen it all the time. Somebody else will have an accident, and you'll say, well, it had nothing to do with me because I was 100 feet away. The problem is that's why the laws are here. If you operate within the law, then it's not your fault. When you're operating outside of the law, your actions are causing other things to happen, chain reactions. Not sure what happened in this case because the jury is still out. When I say the jury is still out, they don't have all the details yet. But I just wanted to say, because now they're making all of these vehicles hyper loud. I don't understand that. Hyper fast, and a lot of people think they can drive. And I'm here to tell you, as I was a driving instructor for a while, just because you can go fast and in and out of traffic and avoid a collision doesn't mean you can drive. It just means you've got very, very lucky. Clear. I think you guys heard the charge, criminally negligent homicide. That's if you're driving, you're violating the law, and somebody else loses their life. Most people have the mindset is, well, I'm driving in my car, they should be able to drive their car. It has nothing to do with me. That's not really the fact. The facts in these cases, the car was a long way away. A guy said it best, 100 feet, that's nothing. Nothing when you're doing those speeds.
Yes.
We did see on the video him operating in that turn lane way too fast. Way too fast. As a accident reconstructionist, it was, I don't understand the problem with putting the accident back together, right? Very easy thing to do. I talked to the witnesses. Man, I wish I had cameras. If I was doing my thing back in the 80s with cameras, y'all have been talking about me. I was a beast. Camera? We had to do this with skid marks. We had to do this with marks in the sand, measuring tire width with the tire mark on the street to figure out how fast the car was going, where it was. And you put this accident together, and that's how you charge somebody. That's how somebody might be charged. It doesn't have to come into contact. I want to be very clear. It doesn't have to even happen in the time the cars are in close proximity to each other, because we've seen a chain reaction. You're doing something up there, you cause these cars to do something here, cause these something, and somebody hits me. Oh, it's my fault? What are you talking about? You know, the speed limit is 45, not 95. So I just want to caution all of our fast drivers that spent these hundreds of thousands of dollars on these fast cars. This is what can happen. And you're going to be, if you're in close proximity and your actions are deemed, you're going to be charged. Now, whether you're guilty of anything, that's for the jury to decide, or the judge in this case. But you put yourself in that position. If you were on the roadway doing 35 miles an hour, that looked like a 35 mile an hour zone, my old training, just because of the lines in the road, and you're doing 35, can't nobody charge you with nothing. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna help you out. If you're doing 35 and it's 35 and you stay within these lanes and you stop at that stop sign and stop at that stoplight and signal before you turn lanes, you can't get charged with anything. Anything outside of that, the possibility they're gonna charge you with something. That's it.
So real quick, you mentioned about the recreation. Now, there's another version of the video where they kind of do a recreation. They actually show his car because they got another vantage point, I guess, from a building. And not only is he passing cars at an excessive speed, he's in the wrong lane. So here's how this chain reaction took place. He's in the wrong lane, approaching at a high rate of speed, face to face with another car. That first car corrects to the right, which is towards the curbing, which now exposes the car directly behind them. They look up and it's like, oh, snap. 1 minute they got a car in front of them going in the same direction. The next minute there's a car coming right at him. That person corrects to the left, which causes the head-on collision with the vehicle where that 78-year-old died.
Right.
So that's how that recreation and that's how that whole thing played out. And then Lacey slowed down to weave through the collision and then go on about his business. Derek?
Yeah, interesting. I didn't see that longer version, but I saw another version where they showed the officer on the scene coaching one of the witnesses what to say.
Oh.
Yes. And I mean, he was literally saying, okay, so now you need to say he hit his brakes here. You know what I mean? So he was coaching the witness what to say. And I think that's one of the things that the family's attorney zeroed in on.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just a bad look for the police all the way around, because the facts are going to be the facts. Don't get in there and try to add something to the soup and you ain't cooking.
Right.
You dare to taste in that situation. You ain't got no business trying to cook it.
Right. And it's on his body camera. That's how it was seen. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's sad in the way that it played out, because unfortunately the demographics and the optics are a bad look. And the fact that he was playing for a very prominent football program and he was an extremely prominent athlete, certainly there's going to be a sympathetic reaction to him. I hope for those that are paying attention to it, that they are looking at the developments through a more objective lens. I think all of us feel the same way. Our hearts go out, because that's another life that doesn't get the chance to see an awful lot of promise to be realized. But at the same time, there's a responsibility for actions that must be accounted for in that situation. And by what we've seen, there appears to clearly be a legitimate, or would have been legitimate, criminal case for his driving actions, contributing, if not leading to the death of that 78-year-old man. Anyone else got any thoughts on that one? Because our time is getting tight and we're drawing to the end. Yes, no, maybe?
No.
All right. Well, D, that means you can take us out on a positive note.
Always, always. Take a look. It's only about a minute.
Westchester County. Okay, what? Westchester County Police.
No, he wants to pray for you guys.
Oh, yeah. Pray for us. Yeah, we would.
Oh.
Here, I'll hold their hands. You hold this.
Go ahead, say it. Well, somebody got to hold his hand too. No, I'm holding this stuff. Go ahead.
Don't let them do bad stuff, or let them do good stuff. In Jesus' name, hallelujah.
Amen.
Amen.
I love it.
For our
I
listeners
love it.
out there that were watching, the point I like to make on that is simply this. You notice how that young man insisted that they join hands. Reverend Don, would you care to give him some context on that?
Well, it shows the unity. It shows the love and the connection, which I love to do as well. Now you're starting to see where a lot of churches are not really holding hands because of COVID and everything else. But it is important to do that when you can. And I really like the way he just wanted to do this. And who did he say my papa will hold the hand? Is that what he said? So his grandfather must have been back there, taking the photo. Because when he said papa, I thought about myself. But thank you for that. But also on a good note, I was thinking when Kadir was speaking about it earlier, And because of D, I now have cameras in my cars. I have it in my two vehicles and in my wife's car, front and rear. Because people drive crazy now, and I have to say this because my wife is like she laughs at me all the time and said, "Shoot, that was me driving like that years ago, in and out and running real fast and stuff." I'm like, and I'm looking at it now and said, it doesn't make any sense. What are we doing this for? And then here I come around right past them doing the speed limit because they done got stuck over here. But you done did all of that, wasted all that gas, and I just roll right on past you. But you know what? The youth do some crazy things, and I was one of them. Did some crazy stuff. My partner over there, he was one with me. Though. Don't want you to think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's thank God for maturity. Thank God for time. Because we're definitely not the same people we used to be.
Right.
So I thank God for that, for real.
And thank God we survived those actions.
Yes.
Thanks for God's grace.
Yes.
For not
and mercy.
Not making us pay for what our actions were.
Because I'll say this, and I say this to my church members, that the only difference between us and people who went to jail was that they got caught.
Yep.
That's the difference. Don't think that you were so good and you never made a mistake. The only difference is they got caught. You didn't get caught. So I think about that now, and as I'm getting older, listen, Mark said it, the grace of God. It's the grace of God.
True.
And notice that grace of God was not to those who are preachers or pastors, but it's to everybody. That's what I like about it. It wasn't just to certain people. A lot of us are here. All of us are here because of his grace.
Right.
Amen.
All of us. So that's what I want to say. Chili Willie says, I remember seeing that, and I rocked down him. Wait a minute. I don't know what he said. I remember seeing that. I rocked down him, said turnpike. Oh, I rocked down him.
I rocked. And I rocked.
Even in and out of traffic. Okay. He talking
Oh,
about.
you don't know that I rock down?
Nah.
Oh, you know what?
Your car.
What? Yeah. Because the IROC wasn't spelled that way, but I got it now.
Yeah.
I got it now.
It wasn't spelled right.
You probably self-corrected.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, good.
Well, crew,
All right.
we come to the end of another good one.
Everybody,
and to our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Thank you for consistently joining with us, and we hope that there's something that's said or done that's going to help give clarity, give understanding to the intersection between law enforcement and the community, and most importantly, the fact that we keep the lines of communication open so that we're not walking around here with assumptions and we're actually getting answers. I'm honored to be among this crew, and thank you, everyone. Rev, you gonna carry us out?
Absolutely. Can we join hands?
Absolutely.
Let's pray. God, our Father, we thank you for this panel. We thank you for the discussion that took place today. We thank you for the activities that take place. We thank you for engaging with our community, allowing them to ask us questions. We don't always know the answer, but we can do the best that we can. We pray now to God for family and friends and loved ones. We pray that you will continue to watch over us. Be with us, dear God, as we go into another week. Watch over us and watch over our family members. I thank you to God for all things. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.